Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for organizing committee, provided us to present our works in the International Seminar on Public Health and Education. Our work's title is Stunting Risk Factor based on priority region in Indonesia, based on 2018 National Basic Health Survey. We conduct this work in team, I myself, M Azam, and Muhammad Saki Saifurrahim, and the third co-author was Prof. Said Muhammad Al-Junid. We know that stunting causes 14.5% of death each year, and decreasing the stunting is one priority of the sixth goal of the Global Nutrition Target in 2025. Prolonged impairment of cognitive function in children with stunting will affect in productivity and economic status. And other studies have shown that school dropout rate of children with stunting are higher than non-normal children. The prevalence of stunting in Indonesia is 30.5%, and in 2018, the government determined 100 priority regions, that is districts and cities, with the highest stunting prevalence. Recent study analyzed the secondary data obtained from the result of discussed tests that conducted by Ministry of Health, Republic of Indonesia in 2018. We define stunting status based on obtained discussed data and use the formula of Z-score. And we concern in the fundamental factor, that is priority region, as important parameters for the stunting cases. Priority region selected and determined by the national team for the acceleration of poverty reduction in 2018. That is 100 priority regions determined. In this analysis, we used information gathered from 27,280 women with children aged 0 to 23 months who have fulfilled the questionnaire. Of them, 8,537 experienced stunting, mean that the prevalence based on this subset was 31.29%. Based on priority region category, most of them living in the non-priority region, that is 78.5%, and the rest 21.5% living in the priority regions. This table shows us the result of the analysis. We identified that such subject characteristic that related to the stunting status were priority region, age, sex, history of diary, gestational age, birth weight, birth height, wean age, mother's level of education, mother employment status, mother age of the labor, number of antenatal care visits, mother's head, fetal surface supplementation, father's level of education, father's head, number of under 5 in the household, limited access to health services, and drinking water that used in the household. There are the parameters that related to the standing status in our subsets. And then we continue to analyze the multivariate analysis using the binary logistic regression. And we differentiate this analysis based on non-priority region, and total region. We found that there were some different risk factor in the three category. In the non-priority region, we found that male mother's head lower than 150 centimeter, lower father's head were the non-priority region risk factor for the stunting. And then we found in the priority region, male, lower mother's head and lower father's head, as well as no fetal surface supplementation were the risk factor in the priority region. And in total region, we found that priority region itself and 5 more of family members, male, limited access to health services, INC visit less than 4, mother's head lower than 550, father lower education level, father's lower heads, and no ferrous sulfate supplementation were the risk factor of stunting in total region. This study concluded that there were different risk factors for stunting based on prior age status, and we found that the male children, mother's lower head, father's lower head, were the 3 risk factors that constantly risk factor for stunting in all region group. And in the total group, we conclude that the bright region, 5 or more family members, male children, limited access to health services, antenatal care visit less than 4, mother's head less than 150, father head with lower educational level, and father lower head, and as well as no ferrous sulfate supplementation altogether were the risk factor for stunting in Indonesia. We also recommend the further study to elucidate the risk factor and determinant of stunting in Indonesia, especially in the priority region, and as well as the recommendation of the policy that must be conducted to solve the problem of stunting in Indonesia. I think that's all of our presentation, and we also acknowledge the Faculty of Sports Science Universitas Negeri Semarang for supporting the research grant to support this work. Thank you very much, and thank you very much for organizing committee for the time for us. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.